Good Friday morning to you. I was in a really powerful meeting this last week. It was great. It was faithful people gathered together to do some business and listen to how God was speaking. A lot of our business talk ends up being godly talk, and I love being in communities like that, where the business talk has more to do with godly talk than it does with numbers and statistics and words. So this is the question that was asked at part of our meeting. Are you so busy and are you working so hard that God can't speak? Now, I have to tell you, when I heard this question, I bristled immediately. And thank goodness we were on Zoom, because I wouldn't have wanted anyone to see my reaction. This is me. I love to fill my time with things that I think I'm doing for the purpose of God's work. Honestly, this is the church. We do this all the time. We create programs and we create initiatives, and yet we don't really consider if this is God's intention of moving us forward. We don't really consider what the implication or the impact is. We create busy work. Sometimes this is called Martha work versus Mary time. Mary and Martha are great examples of sisters who both were serving Jesus in very different capacities. Martha was busy in the kitchen getting ready for the dinner, and Mary took on the posture of a student and sat at Jesus' feet. See, both of these positions are huge and important for the kingdom of God. But both of these positions don't occur at every moment and every time. Sometimes we need to do Martha work, and sometimes we are called into Mary time. That was the point of this conversation that I had this week. Are you so busy, and are you working so hard that God can't speak? It's the danger of COVID right now. For me as a pastor, I feel like I need to create more and more ways of connecting with you, because we can't sit as we normally did. Even our worship time looks differently than it once did. Last night we rehearsed both the contemporary services and the traditional services to make sure they fit within a certain time constraint, for the sake of being able to clean and get people out and be safe and work through and navigate through all of the anxiety that exists right now. And it's not just anxiety. It's real. It's a real problem that we're trying to navigate and are all doing so differently. But the question is one deeper than just how are we navigating? The question is, are you so busy and are you working so hard that God can't speak? Notice it doesn't say that you aren't listening. Sometimes we fill the space that we don't give God any room to speak. Sometimes we get so focused on what we are called to do, what we think we're supposed to respond to, all of the work that is needed, that we don't actually consider where God is in the midst of that. Mary took time to allow God to speak to her, while Martha went about her business as she was called to do. As a pastor, I want to serve and I want to feel like I'm doing my best to bring us together as the community we're supposed to be. But I have to remember for myself that I need to create space for God to speak into it. It's not so much about how many devotionals we do or how many points of contact we have, as it is about the intention, the depth, the wisdom that God has in all of that. Sometimes I wonder if we should be asking ourselves if the opportunity before us is an invitation or if it is a distraction. Because it's too easy to overprogram ourselves. It's too easy to overschedule ourselves. We all should know what that was like before COVID. And now, as we navigate through COVID and we find ourselves eventually on the other side of it, are we going to go back to the way it was, or are we going to truly process what is put before us? Is it an invitation, or is it a distraction? Today I have a confirmation pod with students I haven't seen in quite some time. I'm so excited for us to bring together, not just so that I can teach them about the Old Testament and the prophets, but so that we can create a space for God to speak into. I want to hear what God has been saying to them And I want us to listen collaboratively together. As you think about your week, as you think about all the things that you've done, as you imagine the weekend and you find some time for rest, where are you? Are you caught in the busyness of Martha? Or are you finding moments of Mary? I think there's got to be a great balance in both of those. I think it's an opportunity for each of us to assess where we are in our life, both professionally and spiritually, and according to our families. They all should be in balance together, shouldn't they? They all should complement each other. Where is your Martha time and what does your Mary time look like? And how are you creating space for God to speak into? Have a great Friday.